Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today first and foremost, it's the Russian broker. I hope everyone's doing well in this dookie trucking economy, but I guess, like I said in the last video, Trumpy won, so hopefully this new year will go a little bit better than 2024 was. In this video, I'll be kind of going over how to get customers. How do you get shippers? How do you get them to tap in with your inbox, baby? Because that's the biggest question every new broker gets when they come into this business. They think, I'm gonna get customers out the wazoo, and I'm gonna be booking freight out the wazoo, making big money. A good book of business takes quite a while to build. There's customers, I've met brokers that have had customers for 15, 20 years and they don't work with anybody else but only that broker. I myself I've had customers for a couple years already, great relationships with them, and I've had customers that just kind of come and go. The most important thing coming into the brokerage business, especially if you're an agent and you're learning from the ground up, is asking yourself and setting for yourself realistic expectations, because a lot of people don't have those coming in. I'll speak on my own account too. Whenever I first started, I had a lot of unrealistic expectations too. I thought, first year in, no brokerage experience, barely had some trucking experience. I thought, I'm going to be making, doing 5 million of gross in 2 years. Yeah, that doesn't work that way, especially with no experience. Things just take time. In this video, we'll kind of go through and discuss certain aspects to growing your book of business, maintaining your book of business, and the most important aspects to kind of learn and set for yourselves when you build the foundation of your career as a broker, because this can be a very profitable business. I met brokers that are just agents and they work from a laptop out in the Bahamas somewhere, slinging their freight, and they go spearfishing after work, and I've met other guys that have built very successful companies where they just want to be in there. For me, that's kind of the route that I'm taking, but I guess we're going to be pushing kind of like an educational series to help those out there that kind of want to learn. That way, if you're kind of struggling in your field as a broker and you might have some questions, hopefully this can answer some of those questions for you guys. So stick tight. Don't forget to like and subscribe, baby. The more subscribers we get, the more content we push. I have 6 subscribers right now. I got 1 subscriber the other day and I was pumped, dude. So don't forget to comment. Let us know if you guys like the the prankster videos, pranking double brokers and stuff like that, or if you guys want more educational content too. I don't mind. Just kind of depends on what the chat wants. So chat, let me know. So there's really about 6 main points I want to touch on in this video, and they're going to be mostly sales related points. We'll do another video in the future talking about other aspects of brokering, such as operations, billing, all that stuff. But I really want to touch down on sales, because that's really the most important part of brokering, is selling. It's a very hard thing to do, and a lot of people come into this business with expectations that aren't really realistic, and we're going to kind of go through those points and talk about it. So step 1 is when you first start off in the brokerage business, whether it's at a big box brokerage, you're working for somebody else as a W-2 agent, or you're starting off as a 1099 agent on your own with no experience, it's very important to set expectations. And I don't mean in the sense as like kill your dreams. Obviously, you're not supposed to do that. You should be very hopeful and exciting to go to work and be focused on achieving a higher standard. But in terms of what you're actually going to get out of your business, it's very important to set realistic expectations. So for example, let's say you're a first year broker and you don't really know anything about freight. Your only expectation should be to just learn as much as possible and to absorb as much information from your coworkers or from some sort of mentor that brought you into the business to begin with. And then even your customers can teach you a lot too. But I would say when you come into this business with the expectation of, oh, I'm going to make a ton of money my first year, most of the time it doesn't work like that. And I would say I've seen a lot of people come and go out of this business, and a lot of people that leave typically are the ones that set high expectations and then they have a shortfall. So keep realistic expectations. Your expectation should be to just learn and to grow from zero. So you're starting off with zero. If you finish off the year as a W-2 agent making only $35,000, you made $35,000 in a business in 1 year that you knew nothing about before. I would say that's pretty good. And then try to double it the next year, hit 70,000, 80,000 next year. Even if you hit 50, that's still a good number. You're growing by 30-40% next year. That's really good. And likewise, for me, I believe I'm on my 3rd or 4th year as a broker, and I moved over to a brand new company with no credit, none of that stuff. I set a goal for myself to hit over 1.2 million by myself, and I think this year I'm closing off at 1.5 off a brand new brokerage that beginning of this year we had no credit. So I would say my expectations were realistic. I knew my experience, I knew my customer base, and I worked accordingly, and that's what we did. And by the way, that's gross, not net profit. Those are 2 different numbers. Point 2, do a ton of drugs. Just kidding. Real step 2 is you gotta pick up the phone and dial. That's probably the most important step out of this whole video. If we can, we'll try to notate it or something like that. Eddie, you can put in the B-roll a big picture of a phone, a golden phone, but you grow your customer base from talking with people. That's the only way it works. It's with any sales business in the world. It's you gotta pick up and start dialing.
Are you behind on your credit card bills? Good, pick up the phone and start dialing.
If you're in a city, you notice there's a lot of shippers around you. You could even go knock on doors, hand out business cards. You can go to trade shows, meet people, meet representatives from other companies, and hand out your business cards. But I have not seen one successful broker that doesn't pick up the phone and consistently dial.
Does your girlfriend think you're a worthless loser? Good, pick up the phone and start dialing.
I myself struggle with that sometimes. I know it's a hard thing to do, but I'm telling you right now, with no experience, it's the most important thing to do, because you can't gain experience without just getting into the nitty-gritty and just facing it head on. And that's probably the best advice I can give, is just pick up the phone
And start dialing.
fail a bunch of times. It only takes one customer to change your life, change your business, and start getting the ball rolling. So kind of focus on that. All right, guys, point number 4, stay consistent. Consistency is key. That's what they say, right? They say fortune is in the follow-up. Put up that meme of the gold digger walking away and the other one digging and he's about to hit the diamonds. That's the life of freight brokering right there. There's been customers, I've been in the business, like I said, 3-4 years. I've had a few customers that I've been trying to get a business from for the last 2 years, and they're picky and they don't want to work with me. Guess what, buddy? One day I'm going to get your business. I'm going to haul your loads for you. That's how it works. Sometimes you get a customer off 2-3 phone calls. Sometimes it takes 3, 4, 5, 6 months and 150 follow-ups to even get your foot in the door with them, just to find out they're going to be a terrible customer. It's the way it goes. You never know how things are going to work out. I've had, like I said in the first step, high expectations about certain customers, thinking, man, they're going to make me so much money. And then I get in the door with them. I put in all this effort. We, upgrade our insurance policies, and then it turns out they're just a terrible customer. So that's besides the point. Stay consistent follow-ups. And this kind of goes with track your progress. One thing I do for myself and for the people that work under me is every 2 weeks, I make myself write down, how many phone calls have you made in the last 2-4 weeks? How many good conversations have you had? How many bad conversations have you had? What were some good things you did, and what were some bad things you did, and what can you do better going forward for the next follow-up? So doing reviews, keeping consistent with the effort goes a long way. I've heard other people say, I've heard another very experienced freight broker say 8 to 9 months of just going out there, hitting the phones hard and going out to local companies and trying to get business can set your book of business up for 5 to 6 years. And it's true. I've had some customers where I just drove out to them once, I gave them my business card, and I've been working with them since, for 2-3 years already. So it's definitely true. Staying consistent is an extremely important thing. You don't want your sales pipeline to ever to dry up. You want it to be always full. You always want people to be revolving through and always have options for people to work with. It's a very important thing. All right, guys, step 5, you should use this step in every portion of your life, not just when you're working, is be honest and be relatable. That means, most importantly, whenever you fail, let's say you miss an appointment or a pickup or whatever, maybe driver doesn't show up and you forgot to do a check call, be honest with your customer. Say, hey, I forgot, I apologize, won't happen again. And just don't lie about things. It never helps to lie, especially when you're growing a book of business. I've never met anybody that has a successful business that has to lie consistently to people. Be honest with your customers, even about your shortfalls. I'm not saying tell them more than they need to know, but I'm saying whenever it comes down to being morally, right, you got to do the right thing. That's extremely important in this business. And I myself know, I've heard of a lot of brokers that screw carriers over. They write, bad reports on them for no reason, or they don't pay them for no reason. That doesn't go a long way in this business. And I feel you got to be honest with people on both sides, be fair and be proper, be fair on both sides, kind of like a judge would be, because you're essentially mediating between two parties. That's what a broker does. And I would say that aspect, in terms of your long-term outlook in your career, will take you a very long way. Second part would be relatable. That means when you're calling prospects or customers, don't just talk about yourself. Listen to them, ask them what they got going on, try to find and mirror similarities with what they have in their life along with what you have in your life, and don't just sound like you're reading a script, because 99% of people that call prospects these days all sound the same. And you will sound the same even as a more experienced seller. You will sound the same as someone else. The difference is how relatable you can get with them over time and how much trust you can build with them over time. Let me tell you guys something. There are 2 things that a shipper or any customer will ever want from you or care enough about you to give you their business. It's 1, are you competent? Are you competent enough to handle their business? And 2, do they like you? Those are 2 things. As long as they like you, they find you relatable, they say, hey, this guy's cool, I like him, he's chill, he knows what the deal is, and he's smart, and he gets down and gets dirty, and he knows how to sling freight and do this and that, they'll give you their business. I promise you that. Those two things, if you can prove that to customers, that's going to get your foot in the door. You'll start building trust with them, and that's going to take you a long way. So that's one thing I can assure you on for sure. Just be competent, relatable, and those will take you a long way in terms of building a relationship with customers. Gotta play some golf, baby. Lock in, baby. All right. Last point, okay? Are you recording? All right, cool. Last point, don't bite off more than you can chew. This one doesn't go for everybody because some people know how to judge these types of situations, but for those of you that are very ambitious, this is something I would advise you look into and try to reflect upon yourself. Is when you get your foot into the door with a customer and let's say they got 15, 20 loads going out in one day and they want to offer you all of them. I mean, hey, I'm never going to say no to more business, but that's because I know I can handle it. Ask yourself, am I experienced enough to handle this kind of freight, this kind of commodity, to take on this type of responsibility? And sometimes if they're a smart shipper, they're going to do that to you on purpose to see if you're a responsible person. So be very careful and very discerning about those types of decisions. You don't ever want to put yourself in a position where you're taking on so much freight and then all of a sudden you got cancellations, you can't cover stuff, you just look like a freaking train wreck in front of your customer, brand new customer, and then all of a sudden you lose their business. So that's one thing I really advise people to watch out for, because it's a really hard thing to say no to more business and more money. But the reality is, you bite off more than you can chew. A lot of times you're going to burn yourself and burn your relationship with the customer. So I really advise that you be careful and very discerning in situations like that.
Pick up the phone and start dialing.